Warning! This video will contain a hidden image of St. Charles, so you might want to prepare your eyes for some aesthetic assault. Hello and welcome to the Grand Line Review, your source for everything One Piece. My name is Liam and I know someone who is literally allergic to the color blue. He legitimately cannot eat, drink, or even brush his teeth with anything blue. But today we are here with a very important task, which is to power scale fictional pirates on the internet. Because I don't know about you, and to be honest, there's only so much I care. But I would like to discover who the top 10 most powerful non-devil fruit users are in One Piece. Because fruit and fruit nomas get an awful lot of focus on this channel, and in fact all channels, so I think it's time to reward those who have made a name for themselves in this world without the assistance of magical sea-based powers. And it's all going to begin with a quick round of Big Man Lifts Big Things, a very simple minigame, the rules of which are as follows. Here we have a big One Piece man thing, and he is going to lift one of 3 heavy objects. Meanwhile, it is going to be your job to guess the object that he is going to lift. Now, should you guess incorrectly, then your punishment will be to subscribe to the Grand Line Review, resulting in consistent injections of One Piece culture administered directly into your YouTube feed. And if you are correct, then you will be awarded with a brutal personal training session in order to lift the object yourself. But which one will it be? This one, this one, this one, or this one again? Make your choice now and we shall reveal the answer in 3, 2, 1, and bam, it was the elephant. So if you guessed incorrectly, then you know the thing to do, and please do say hi in the comments below if you are a new member of the Grand Fleet. Welcome. So to get into the list, it's important to go through our ranking criteria, because there is nothing that generates more fun than rules and restrictions. There are 3 things that a character needs to be eligible for ranking here, and the first is obviously that they are a confirmed non-devil fruit user, but that word, being confirmed, is important, because without it we'll end up getting stuck in endless conversations about dragons and Rogers and the Roxas and all of the other strong but vague characters who we don't know whether or not they have a devil fruit, and I really don't want any potential fruit users infiltrating our list, so they are gone. We are having no ambiguity here. Our second criteria is that a candidate must have a demonstrable showing of power. We're not going to sit here and speculate about characters like Yasop, Ben Beckman, and Kong. And look, I get it, the word Kong actually rhymes with the word strong, so he probably is. But when that is the only piece of evidence we have for his abilities, there is no way that we can actually rank him. So in order to be here today, you need to have done something of tangible value. And our final criteria is that the character does not engage in technical nonsense. With this, we're talking about people like Shirahoshi or Elisabella who do have access to very top tier power, but only in very specific circumstances. They do technically exist, but we're not getting into any of that today, just raw, demonstrable, non-fruity strength, which we will then go on to rank using facts and logic. In some cases, those may be cherry-picked facts and flawed logic, but that has never stopped us before. Kicking things off in 10th place, we find ourselves with a Jinbe, although I'd like to note that my script auto-corrected his name to Jinbabe, which I quite like, and I'm now picturing him on the beach in a bikini. But you know what? That is enough whale shark objectification for one video, because Jinbe enters this list as the undisputed master of Fishman Karate. Ever so individually skilled that he can obliterate an existence like Gecko Moria with minimal effort, as well as stand up to the absurdity that is Sakazuki. What does hold Jinbe back here is the idea that we do have a solid power comparison for him though, and that would be against Ace. The two of them fought for 5 days and nights, with the conflict eventually concluding in some sort of double KO. And yes, that was a long time ago, but also not that long ago. And it leaves Jinbe in a slightly awkward position because Ace, in the grand scheme of things, he was not all that strong. But still, given that almost every major super being in One Piece is a devil fruit user, that actually makes Jinbe quite a standout in this format. So good on him, but still not quite good enough. In 9th place, we have the ever delightful Nekomamushi and Irashi. I should say that when we're talking about most powerful non-fruit users, a lot of Odin's vassals come very close to entering this list, particularly the ones who did not travel forward in time. But floating at the very top of the vassal pot are our mink leaders. Individually, they demonstrated their rather outrageous power all the way back on Zo, facing off against Jack in a tag team struggle. That's nothing too unique for vassals, however, and in fact, Ashura Doji has even gotten the better of Jack on that one casual occasion. But what does push our mink leaders over the line is their access to the Sulong form, which sadly does have some technical nonsense attached to it, only capable of being used under a full moon and such. But these two have the demonstrable raw power to back that nonsense up. The Sulong form is more of an unnecessary bonus to their already insane abilities. And for want of a better term, when talking about cats and dogs, they also have quite an impressive pedigree, having been part of 2 of the world's strongest pirate crews led by Goldie Roger and White B. Id, respectively. And of course, it's more or less impossible to to rank them individually. In fact, Oda has very purposely structured them to be equals in the series, so it's only fitting that they appear as a pair here today. And I guess if you did want to rank them individually, then you just, flip a coin and kick Jinbe off the list, but I'm not going to be the one to tell him that. You go and tell Boss Jinbe that he's no longer on the list. Yeah, good luck. Moving on to 8th position though, we discover a pervy cook lurking in the bushes. But just as with the cat, the dog, and the fish before him, Sanji is not to be underestimated. Granted, he hasn't had a lot of time to show off in the new world, but those rare moments where we do get to see Sanji's potential very much on display definitely solidify his spot here. We're talking about stuff like striking Charlotte Oven very casually dispatching of page 1, and several Wano spoiler moments that I won't drop here. But the thing about Sanji is that yes, he has an incredibly, very flawed persona, but when it comes to power, he can fight with the best of them, and in many cases, even better. Not all, but many. It's actually frightening just how amazing Sanji could be if not for his Sanjiness. But even so, Sanji is well within the Hall of Fame for non-Devil Fruit users. I really effed that one up. But also within that Hall of Fame is someone you may not have expected. I certainly didn't expect this myself, but in number 7, we have Virgo. I know, it seems weird, but this was the point where I realized, there really aren't all that many powerhouses that don't rely on one-piece fruit salads. And Virgo, I have to place above Sanji because he was demonstrably dominant over him in their conflict on Punk Hazard, which a lot of Sanji apologists would like to make out was much closer of a match than it was, but by Sanji's own admission, he would have lost quite swiftly if he'd kept on fighting. Virgo, in retrospect, is a shockingly underrated combatant, and it took one of the most overpowered Devil Fruits in the entire series to put him down. In fact, the very question of how Law defeated Virgo is one of those enduring queries that is only more relevant these days now that it's confirmed that Haki does negate his Devil Fruit. But that's not the point. The point is that Virgo has all sorts of crap on his face, and I find that funny. Oh, and he's also strong. That's probably more relevant, actually. But moving on to 6th place, we have our monumental moss-headed mountain, Roronoa Zoro. And this is one of those funny things where if this was like a top 20 strongest characters in One Piece, just in general, then I am legitimately not sure if Zoro would make that list. This whole getting rid of Devil Fruits thing has really opened my eyes because there really aren't all that many regular schmucks who can take Zoro, something which has been repeatedly proven post-time skip. And if you're up to date with the old manga, then I really don't think any kind of justification is required here because you all know what he did. You all know the things. And for anime watchers, you've got something to be very excited about. Unless, of course, you don't like Zoro, in which case this raid's gonna be a bit rough for you. Now, with all of that said, the top 5 are going to be in a complete league of their own. The gap between Zoro and our next finisher is more of a gaping chasm, and that chasm goes by the name of Dracul Mihawk. The world's greatest swordsman, the sparring partner of one of the 4 emperors, wine connoisseur, and baboon enthusiast. Is there anything Mihawk doesn't have? There is, actually. Mihawk doesn't have a challenge. Within this incredibly dangerous world full of earthquake beards, soul-stealing mothers, and drunkard dragons, Mihawk just looks at all of that and goes, yeah, but that's kinda boring. Where are the strong people at? Although, to be fair, he did very much recognize his inferiority to Whitebeard, as all should. And Mihawk is primarily playing the sword game, a game that nobody except Zoro wants to play with him. But Zoro's not good enough to play the game. It's like having that annoying little brother who just wants to do what you're doing. Mihawk is so powerful that there is not a single living swordsman capable of entertaining him. Things get a bit more interesting when we talk about the dead ones, though. Because in number 4, in comes Kozuki Odin. Mihawk may well be the world's greatest swordsman, but he still has yet to show us the kind of skill that Odin casually exuded. Where Mihawk viewed himself as a clear inferior to Whitebeard, Odin jumped into the fray and became his brother. He was still far from being a true equal to the future strongest man in the world, as proven when Odin encountered Roger, but Odin is still this, mind-boggling existence. Sort of like Big Mom, it seems that he was just born with these deity abilities. I mean, he definitely didn't inherit them from his father Sukiyaki. I mean, look at this guy. He isn't fighting no Whitebeard, or any beards at all for that matter. And during a time where Kaido seemed like an unstoppable force of this world, Odin was the character who put the word seemed into this sentence. Odin broke that illusion of Kaido, as well as a fair bit of surface area on his chest. Kozuki Odin is a true legend. One of the most powerful people to have ever existed, period. Devil Fruit or no. A name that will not be at all easy to overcome. But with that said, here are 3 names who can overcome it. Usually I would do that. And it all starts at number 3 with Silver's Rayleigh, which was a bit of an unintentional rhyme, but I will take it. How many old men do you know that can swim their way through the calm belt? In fact, while we're here, how many old men do we know who can just swim in general? Whitebeard can't, Sengoku can't, Fujitora can't, so I guess we really are just left with Rayleigh and Whoopslap. Of course, Rayleigh has made quite the name for himself by facing off against Kizaru that one time, and not being caught, so I imagine that things went pretty well. As a confirmed non-Fruitian, Rayleigh does also have the benefit of being a master of all 3 brands of Haki, and even though that's actually nothing special for this list, Rayleigh is still quite possibly the best overall living Haki user that we've met to date. All of the crazy crap that he was showing off pre-time skip is stuff that we are only just getting to now with Luffy and friends of Luffy. And no, he may not be in his prime anymore, but that's why he gets the bronze medal. Because bronze is kind of like a filthy gold that you just haven't cleaned in several decades. For shiny silver though, we land on red-headed Shanks. And I usually don't like bringing Shanks into power discussions because there is so little tangible evidence involving him, but being able to split the skies with Whitebeard is all of the evidence I need to vaguely rank him on a strangely specific list. You see, Odin, he also clashed with Whitebeard, but there was a grand total of 0 sky splits there, so Shanks is going to sit quite comfortably above him. And really, Shanks is the man who walked up to a war and said, "Hey, you stop that right now." And the war obeyed him because the war was scared. And quite frankly, it's one of the greatest crimes in One Piece that we still have not seen more of Shanks, but I have seen enough to know that this is exactly where he belongs. And I've also seen enough to crown our champion here today, which is probably quite predictable at this stage because his name is Monkey D. Garp, and that's the only name that we haven't heard yet. So here he is. But how could it have ended any other way? Garp is a man whose very legend predates legends. When Whitebeard was still struggling as a level 1 crook, Garp was already a level 100 mafia boss. Alongside Sengoku, Garp is the only marine to have ever really earned the respect of Goldie Roger, and is quite possibly the only one the strength of the Pirate King was never capable of overcoming, and all without a devil fruit. In fact, as of right now, we don't even know if Garp can use Conqueror's Haki, which is insane, and if that remains to be the case, then it really shows that he clawed his way to the top with nothing but the pure power of fist. And it's thoughts like that that really do highlight the relation between Garp and Luffy. Whatever the problem is, a fist will solve it. Rubber fist, old man fist, it doesn't matter what it is, just shove it in someone's face and go and have a well-earned donut. But if you'd like to earn a donut, then sure, but first you need to go and watch this video. It's about stuff to do with One Piece, you know, the thing you like. So it'll be great fun, and I look forward to seeing you there.